Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this discussion on the future of gaming. I'm Darren Smith, and I'm your moderator for this discussion. For a little background on me, I've spent most of my career in the video game industry, including 20 years at Nintendo, where I ended up as a director at Nintendo of America. While I was there, I worked on the development of games and game platforms from the Nintendo 64 through the Wii and the 3DS, along with all the game services on all the platforms, and a lot of other things. Happy to talk about it with you sometime. In 2018, I joined a B2B blockchain licensing company named Epik as the VP of product, with a mission to bring non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, to life into games. On our panel today, we have representatives from a cross-section of the gaming industry. So let's take a moment to let each of our panelists introduce themselves.
Thanks, Darren. Hello, everybody. I'm Kendra Johnson. I am the Director of Gaming Publishers Partnerships here at YouTube. I've joined the team about 6 months ago, and it's a fabulous role where I work across the world with our gaming publisher partners and our YouTube teams around the world to really think about how we're helping set the future afloat for gaming. Prior to joining YouTube, I worked at Twitch, where I ran our top talent team, our business team focused on the top creators, as well as I led our Southeast Asia partnerships and content team, which was really exciting. I got to spend a lot of time in this part of the world. So sorry I'm joining by Zoom today. Wish I could have been there in person. And I got my start in gaming when I worked at Maker Studios, which was a large MCN, and got a great introduction and education in the power of gaming creators in driving culture and commerce. And it's been an exciting ride since those days.
Yeah, so it's David Yin here. I'm the CEO of Storms Gaming. We're a gaming company based out in Singapore itself. And we're focusing on two business lines at the moment. So the first business line is a game studio, game publisher, where we build our own games as well as source third-party games to publish. And on the second business line, we're focusing on building a social instant gaming platform for the emerging markets. So I've been here for about a year now. And prior to this, I was spent about 5.5 years in the Google Play business development team, taking care of the Australia, New Zealand markets for gaming, as well as Southeast Asia. And all the way back to the Nokia, Java, S40, S60 sort of games a long, long time ago. So very, very passionate in the gaming industry and excited to be here.
Hi, yes, my name's Ben Lee. I'm co-founder and managing director of Blowfish Studios. I've been a game developer my whole life. I started programming back on the Commodore VIC-20. Professionally, I started in '98 just for a local indie studio here in Sydney, where we're based. But most recently, with Blowfish Studios for the last 11 years, we've built that up from 2 people to over 30 people now. And we started off as a mobile game developer. We're self-published our own games, pivoted to consoles, self-published there. And then we went to VR and then subscription services around Apple Arcade. Most recently, we also became a publisher. So we publish third-party games as well as develop our own. And a couple of months ago, we were acquired by Animoca Brands. And so we're also now getting into the blockchain gaming space as well.
All right. So my name is Darang Chandra. I'm the director of Southeast Asia Research at Nico Partners. So Nico Partners, it's a market research company based in Silicon Valley, California, but we have offices all across the world. So I'm based in Jakarta, Indonesia. I've been with Nico Partners since 2014. But before that, I've worked with several research institutions, including the Economist Intelligence Unit, the ASEAN Study Center at the University of Indonesia, and then the APAC, the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Study Center as well. So my point of view will be more on the market research and market analysis side instead of the game developer, because we're not game developer. But yeah, happy to be here.
Great. We're happy to have you. I heard a lot of people here mention something about blockchain. So let's start with non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, as I mentioned in my own intro. They've really been gaining a lot of popularity recently. NFTs use blockchain technology to uniquely identify digital objects so you can verify their authenticity and rarity. Essentially, it's a serial number owned by an individual tied to some unique object. Consumers who buy NFTs can use them in games, or they can collect them or show them off to their friends and social network, and even buy and sell them on marketplaces. So the first question to all of you is, how do you see NFTs contributing to the monetization and growth, either as a new revenue stream for existing games or as games just developed entirely around this concept?
Yeah, so I think Darren, I think you provided a very good background on NFT and blockchain in the gaming industry itself. I think what I've seen in the kind of the past 10 to 12 years, there's been an evolution in terms of free to play has always been popular traditionally. Then it's gone into a play to win kind of scenario with social casino gaming, and so on and so forth. And now we're seeing evolution to play to earn. In terms of NFT and blockchain gaming itself, right? And focusing heavily just on the region that I'm based in terms of Southeast Asia, Asia Pacific. Obviously, we've seen some solid use cases and success stories in NFT gaming, right? I think Blowfish Studios, Ben over at Blowfish Studios is an example of that, where Animoca Brands is one of the, I think it's worth $1 billion, and they're focusing heavily on NFT gaming. That's a very, very solid use case for what NFT gaming is all about. We've also seen a Vietnamese developer over in Vietnam called Sky Mavis, and they've produced a game called Axie Infinity, where it's all about NFT tokens based on the Ethereum blockchain and so on and so forth. And that's done amazingly well, right? The NFT tokens in there has gone up in value significantly since they've launched the game itself. So, I think gone are the days where it's been pure speculation and, kind of guessing. It's now reality itself. And as you mentioned as well, Darren, I mean, NFT and crypto has been around for a couple of years, but now I feel it's coming to fruition itself there. And I think for me personally, there's probably a couple of key factors why, I feel that NFT gaming will continue to grow in the future and will become pretty much mainstream for gaming. One key factor there is obviously this concept of decentralization, right? So, prior to NFT gaming, it's all about the developers owning the in-app purchases and the tokens and the coins and the characters and so on, right? NFT gaming with decentralization, the ownership of the assets will now be in the hands of the gamer, of the user itself, right? And not only will they have the ability to now own these assets, they will have the ability to trade these assets within the game or on marketplaces or, with their friends and family globally as well. So I think this concept of decentralization is a very, very powerful one, for me in terms of the future of NFT gaming itself. Second thing as well is this thing about fraud and theft, right? In the gaming space, there's a lot of fraud around in-app purchase and tokens and items and so on and so forth. But NFT and the blockchain will remove all that, right? The true ownership, it's traceable, exactly who owns those NFT tokens and so on will become predominant there, right? Just winding it back a bit to what Storms is doing right now in terms of NFT, right? So on the overall concept, we're playing a wait and see approach to NFT. We are conceptualizing and planning potentially using NFT tokens as prize money or gifts on our social instant gaming platform. So, gamers will enter a tournament. If they win that tournament, they will get an NFT token. Now, that NFT token will then potentially be tradable on OpenSea or some of the NFT marketplaces out there, right? The second use case that we're exploring right now is building an NFT game for mobile game. It's going to be only in the mobile platform. And we're trying to figure out exactly, what does that mean? How do we monetize? What are the resources, and so on and so forth. So I think, unlike Animoca and Blowfish, Storms itself is very early in the NFT space, but we do believe in it. And we do believe that the future of gaming, NFT will play a big part in that.
Yeah, I mean, everything that David said there is, it's true, and that's where we're heading. And I think what excited me and Blowfish about with the partnership with Animoca is we're trying to become we just announced Phantom Galaxies last night. It was our new project, and that's we're aiming to be the first AAA blockchain game out there. And what I've been immersing myself in the culture for a while now. And the one thing that I've seen is, we're different in that we're a game developer and we're coming at this from a game space. And the one thing that I saw is that, as Blowfish, we avoided the free-to-play mobile space. We kind of pivoted from premium, went straight to console. And it was because around the monetization. We're not experts at that. We couldn't excel without capital. What I really like about the blockchain gaming space is that it's much more like Kickstarter or like Star Citizen, right? We're monetizing people before they get into the game. So what we can actually do is we're creating the best gaming experience for the game because we don't have to worry now about monetization. Yes, we are selling items and we're monetizing that way with tokens and items, but people are really happy to do that because they own it, like David was saying. And so then now we can just build out a game, that is about the game. So to me, that's really powerful. And that's something that I don't think has been fully appreciated by the current, the industry at the moment. And for me, though, that's what my challenge is, to kind of educate people and get people in there. The other really cool thing, which I really love, is that, as again, Dave was saying, it's about that true digital ownership. So right now, like Phantom Galaxies is a big kind of space opera, shared world universe that we're building. What we are doing is we're speaking to other, really kind of popular projects in the NFT space, and we can actually do a collaboration where, if a player who comes to Phantom Galaxies has a particular, project's NFT, we can actually give them representation in our game of that. It's because they own it. They can be. If they, say, we haven't signed anything yet, but there's some projects out there which the owners actually hold full IP ownership of their token. So we don't even have to do something. We just say, look, you join our game. If you own a CryptoPunk, your avatar is going to be a CryptoPunk. You know what I mean? So it's like it's very powerful in that the true digital ownership, I think, is really going to change the world, and that will plays into the metaverse thing as well, where I think the pandemic has really kind of also accelerated this. Everyone was stuck at home for quite a long time. People still needed to connect with people, and so that's, I think, just the communities that people are forming online and Discord and things like that around, and Telegram around NFTs is also pretty powerful.
Wow, that's great to hear. I look forward to playing the game. Durang, how about your perspective?
Well, yeah, I mean, in general, we in Nico Partners think that NFT games and blockchain gaming in general is a hot trend, and we are watching it closely. In fact, we are currently writing a free report that will be published in October. So stay tuned for that. Secondly, we've seen several pros and cons about this new style of gaming. Of course, there are some risks. Because it can be classified as real money trading. There are several government restrictions, or even the ministries of finances in the Philippines and Vietnam, as I think David mentioned about Axie Infinity. They want to tax players who play Axie Infinity because this is just something that's very new, and people from across the board are trying to get their way in this gaming scene. However, there are also benefits. For example, this will move gaming into another realm, similar to how esports opened an entire new pathways for gamers and devs, and the subsequent ecosystems were created for esports back in the last decade. I think this will happen at NFT gaming as well in the near future. But of course, we're trying to be optimistic, but cautiously optimistic, because there are still a lot of factors that might play into this.
At Epik, our company is entirely built around this future. As a B2B technology company, we provide the infrastructure that enables games to mint and sell and use those NFTs. But we're also a licensing agent, and we're connecting games to licensed content that can be produced as NFTs. So as you guys look for content, please contact us. We're happy to help you connect. Mm-hmm. We've actually been working with some AAA game companies and have had great success with clients like Gameloft and Avakin Life and some of the things we do on the NFT side. But it's great that every digital item sold could be an NFT, and there's lots of ways that that this could contribute to monetization and growth. For one, we could think of NFTs as sort of standalone merchandise. Today, a game might produce physical swag like a t-shirt or a baseball cap. And now you can just add digital swag as NFTs. This is a new form of revenue for game publishers. Another thing is when we've talked about NFTs are sold on marketplaces outside of the game, this can create broader awareness for the game as people see these items appearing in the marketplace, see, wow, what is that? It's really rare and it's sold for $100. What's going on? Might drive awareness of the game and just discovery, just people want to find out what it's about. Usually NFTs are very limited and exclusive, and I think this drives players to have this, you gotta catch them all, to borrow a phrase from Pokemon, that feeling that I've got to get it all or get it before it's gone, and this could create greater engagement. So that's some of the things we're excited about for the future of NFTs, and it's really like added value for players. It gives them a new way to express themselves, to tie their own identity through digital items that they can take outside of the game and share with the world. So we're very excited about it. Obviously, we built a whole company around it, so we're really bullish on its future as well.
Yeah, I think your point about the marketplaces is really strong, because they're just another platform in themselves that people are sharing their stories, and so yeah, that's really strong.
Right. All right, let's move on to the next topic. So over the last few years, we've seen a lot of products emerge that are called metaverses, from Roblox to Fortnite and to the Sandbox, to go back to Animoca. It's a pretty big buzzword for the industry today. What does a metaverse actually mean? Are these the future platforms of entertainment where developers or even users are building the games on top of these experiences, or are they social experiences built on top of games? Like, where do you see these going?
I think, going back to one of the earliest experiences is probably Second Life, that kind of, we say maybe we're one of the metaverses, but yeah, metaverse to me it's more the social construct first, right? It's about people wanting to connect, and so it is about the virtual representation of everybody, of the global population, and because it's virtual, we can really people can play around with their surroundings, who they are, where they are. You can be friends with somebody that you would never have been friends with before, you look at it also, celebrities are also making, great use of the metaverse as well. So just recently, just like a couple of days ago, I think Sandbox announced, Snoop Dogg basically did a partnership and he's built his own kind of, this whole kind of system there, and they're going to have events and things, and, Fortnite's done the same, right? And so I think the metaverse is powerful in that, one, we cannot travel. Many people can't travel. I'm in Australia, I'm stuck here. So I think right now that's also why you're seeing a really large push for that as well. And that it's that crossover between the real universe and the virtual one.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Roblox, and my 7-year-old son, unfortunately, is also a very big fan of Roblox itself, right? And I think, in terms of the future, I think metaverses in terms of a context of gaming is going to be there for the long haul, right? With Roblox itself, most of the gamers or audience there are 9 to 12-year-olds, right? And these kids, or you can probably call them pre-teens, are going to become adults, and they're going to become, middle age and older age. And for them, their first experience with gaming is not going to be on traditionally just downloading games and playing games as a transaction, just going in there and playing, right? It's going to be exactly what Ben said. It's going to be a virtual world, and it's going to be the metaverse, right? It's going to be about playing games instantly within Roblox itself. It's going to be about connecting with friends as well as meeting people within Roblox itself, right? So I do think that the young generation, because they're so immersed in the metaverse with gaming, that will continue in the future, and more gaming concepts will be focused around the metaverse itself, right? However, there's also this issue with the metaverse in terms of the control, right? I mean, there is some feedback where children are meeting some strangers on there that are not the best kind of people that you want to meet, then how do you control that? How do you monitor that, right? And I'm sure Darren and Darren will also have some views on that, and same with Kendra there. So that's something that to be watchful about, right? I also do think that, this concept about AI and ML and, so virtual reality, AR and VR, not AI, ML, sorry, AR and VR, so augmented reality and virtual reality. Now, I feel that those two technologies will have a part to play in the metaverse, right? Now, does that mean that your offline world can now be immersed with your online world and giving you that offline online experience that honestly, traditionally, I mean, it's been tough to do, right? I mean, AR and VR has been around now for a while, but my feeling is that the metaverse will finally see AI and VR actually have an application in the offline and online space through the metaverse there as well, right? And I think, Darren, that I do think that COVID, unfortunately, has played a massive part in the popularity of the metaverse, right? We can't go out. Children cannot go out.
Right.
We've been in lockdown for a very long time, and in some countries they've been locked down for months, right? So what do these children do, or what do adults do, right? They then experience this metaverse, and for them, the metaverse is an outlet for them in this raging COVID world that is happening, right? So I do, believe in the metaverse, and we're also seeing some use cases on celebrities now, promoting themselves on the metaverse, whether it's Ariana Grande on Fortnite, or whether it's some handbag brands on Roblox as well. So it's really exciting, Darren.
Yeah. Excellent. Yes, we agree. Kendra, how about you? What's your take on metaverses?
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, it is certainly the word, I think, of 2021, which is, I don't think we can have a panel on gaming that doesn't cover this. And as we all sort of try to look in our thought, predict, trying to predict the future and what the metaverse will come to be, I think building a little bit on what David was saying about this generation of children, and users, they are absolutely, this is their normal. So I think for all of us who've been in the industry for a while, seeing things sort of finally break through, where you can imagine your virtual world and your everyday persona kind of melding in this really interesting way that lives beyond your gaming session. This is kind of normal, right, for this current generation and this new, the kids who will be coming in. And so I think that's really exciting. And I definitely feel that, this past 2 years of really horrific time for our global community and our inability to see each other in person has really highlighted that need for community and that need for connection and need for interactivity. And what we see on YouTube, since our inception, is communities building around shared interests, and creators who are able to draw really interesting communities together around either their content, the game they're playing, their point of view and perspective on games. And so as we see that community building, really take off over the past couple of years, and the push for interactivity, it just really makes sense that we're headed into a world that's going to be beyond what we're all saying today is a metaverse. And I think that's the part that's really exciting, is that it's going to unleash the creativity of a generation who don't know what it's like to play a wired game in a certain location, right? The idea, my children grew up with playing games with all their friends, no matter the operating system or console or hardware, and that's their normal, right? And I think so the metaverse, the ability for everybody to come in and play and create experiences and content is really exciting. And we see it on YouTube already, and there's sort of the nascent steps that Fortnite and Roblox, for example, are creating these concert moments, and it's a watching party on game as well as on YouTube to see, I want to see what your experience, Darren, is on your channel, but I also may want to experience it myself. I want to come back again. What does that experience look like? And how does a whole community celebrate and experience it? Those are the elements I think are really exciting. And I think when I look at some of the games that have maintained popularity, like Minecraft, or grown over the past couple of years with Roblox and even Grand Theft Auto, creativity of the gameplay and the player is at the heart of that. Whether it's the video on YouTube or the actual your individual game session. And I think when you think about the power of that, and that amount of creative energy and output coming out through gaming, you can just imagine how exciting, like where the metaverse will end up over the next couple of years is, I think, really going to be driven, I believe, by gaming. Because we're taking the first steps in games and in technology and in new, everything being built on the blockchain. That's really revolutionizing how we're thinking about games. And the great place for YouTube is how we can help aggregate community, aggregate those experiences. And we're really looking to, we're pushing the envelope around interactivity and making that shared viewing experience really compelling, and that connective tissue between the creator and the audience just really dynamic. And so I'm excited to see where this takes us.
Exciting for us too. I mean, I love the shared viewing experience myself. For us, for Epik, we strongly believe in the future of the metaverse. We are there powering the technology to let metaverses have NFTs, but we're also helping them bring real world items into those virtual worlds to make it feel like the real world through our licensing agreements. We're actually going to soon release this product called the Epikverse, which is going to connect metaverses together, allowing users to move between the platforms and virtual worlds. Really, it's like a virtual universe that has all of the features of the real world and more. And Kendra, you mentioned concerts in Fortnite. So like imagine the next time Travis Scott does a concert in Fortnite, he not only appears in Fortnite, but he's also in Roblox and Minecraft and Animal Crossing and every other metaverse at the same time. That's the future that we're envisioning with our Epikverse.
That's really cool.
So let's move on to the next topic. The audience of gamers watching other people play games versus playing those games themselves is continuing to grow through either watching esports or streamers on Twitch or YouTube. So I want to know what forms of monetization for streamers and esports teams is going to dominate over the next 5 years, and what new opportunities do you see for monetization for them in the future?
Yeah, I think it's such a amazing statistics for me as to how large the audience is for gaming content, yet it still surprises people, even within the gaming space, I think at times, as how compelling and important viewing the game-related content is. And we just had some staggering statistics in 2020 at YouTube, and we don't show any signs of slowing down when we look at our business. So we had 100 billion hours watched of gaming content, which is really exciting. But just to get back to your question, is we also had 40 million gaming channels creating gaming content, whether live, on demand, or short form content on YouTube. And that, again, that speaks to the power and the vibrancy of this ecosystem, and that are a really important form of entertainment and community is around watching gameplay and gaming related content. So I think for us at YouTube, it's just really like reaffirming to see how much our audience is leaning into this content, how we're able to grow across formats. And then with that, it's really important at YouTube to help creators make it and help creators find avenues to build their businesses through the content that they're creating. And so we've announced and brought some interesting fan funding tools to our site recently. The ability to and I think the other thing that I love about these fan funding and revenue generating tools is they're also community building. So there's like super chat and super stickers. These ability for an audience to connect not just with the creator and not just support the creator, but also have their input and their thoughts highlighted for the broader community that's watching that creator. So we're really trying to innovate in the creator revenue space. Of course, there's ads, and as we look at both esports and individual creators, I think as you're a big esports brand or an emerging esports brand, figuring out the balance between sponsorships, ad revenue, audience and community funding for your content and your programs is going to be really important. And that's important for us as well. And I think as we see this space really innovating, it's important for all of us as a community, I think in the gaming community, to understand this is critical, right? It's critical for all of us to get this right, to come up with reliable ways for gaming creators to really drive their businesses. But so beyond the distribution platform, who are the brands coming in to sponsor creators, to sponsor esports teams? When we look at 100 Thieves had an event with Gucci recently. Gucci was also in Roblox. So there's some really interesting brands. State Farm is a huge mainstream insurance company, right? Who's embraced gaming and esports. So I think as we see more of those companies and dollars coming into the space, really goes to support the content creators, and that I think that's on all of us in the gaming industry, is to recognize the impact content creators have in sustaining the gaming ecosystem, and how do we ensure that we're helping to improve the monetization opportunities for creators as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see where we go, right? Like the work that you're doing, Darren, how does that, the NFT space work for creators? How are they able to embrace that? And so many of them are creating those moments and culture, right? So how do we think about that as a component of their revenue?
Yeah, we're definitely looking at that. At Epik, our esports teams and influencer clients, like you said, are solely monetizing through sponsorships and endorsements right now. But I think the thing that's emerging as an opportunity for them is really licensing their likeness into digital merchandise, just like players in NBA and NFL and Premier League do. So even like Ninja, the most popular streamer, licenses likeness for Raid Shadow Legends, and I think he was the first influencer to appear in Fortnite. So it's exciting. We think we'll see a lot of opportunities like that in the future. We're already more than 30 minutes in here, so I want to move on to our big picture question for everybody. Where do you see the industry going, looking like 5 years from now, from a consumer and technology perspective?
Right. So, from the consumer and market perspective, in general, we've seen the trend of esports, especially in Asia, is becoming very much the cornerstone of the gaming ecosystem in terms of the viewer itself for live streaming in esports. In Asia, we have we calculated more than 618 million viewers that consume esports content at least once a month in Asia, 400 million of them in China alone. And the ecosystem is very big. We have many players. Of course, YouTube is one of the biggest ones, but we also have in China, we have Douyu, Huya, and Bilibili, which we in Nico Partners track in our China game streaming tracker. And then in Southeast Asia, we have several players such as Mimo TV, Bigo Live, Booyah, Garena Live. In Korea, we have Africa TV and Naver TV. In Japan, we have Nico Nico and OpenRack. So we have plenty of new players and old players in the esports content ecosystem. And it's something that will grow even more, especially with the effects of COVID, making people consume more esports contents and making esports more mainstream in general in the public mind. So that's one of the major trends that we're seeing that will happen continuously in the next few years from Nico Partners. And then we also seen like the rise of non-endemic sponsors and companies coming into the gaming sector. So as Kendra already mentioned about luxury brands such as Gucci, we've also seen like other brands like Tesla or even like makeup brands like MAC. They started to get into like the gaming industry, and they help in like propagating this sector. So I think that's something interesting to know.
It's always fun grazing into the future, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think for us, besides what we've discussed in terms of the opportunities with NFT and the Metaverse, obviously those two things I believe is going to be the future of gaming. I think that for us, it's about what does gaming mean for the emerging markets. So and for that, I do strongly believe that instant gaming for the emerging markets is going to make a lot of sense in the future. And when I say instant gaming, obviously cloud gaming with Microsoft and Google, those guys are very focused on the developed markets with high bandwidth and, infrastructure in place and servers and all that. But in the emerging markets itself, I do believe that instant gaming will be very, very powerful in the emerging markets. And more importantly, unlike the past where it's all about HTML5 games, just playing the games on a browser, it's going to be much more than that, right? So for us over at Storms, we're focusing on building a social instant gaming platform that is very focused on mini esport tournaments. So the users that have never played games before, they can just play games for free. But the users that want to enter mini esport tournaments on our platform can do so in that way. Now, whether the currency is going to be virtual currencies, potentially crypto, potentially on the blockchain, and then the prizes could be sponsored branded prizes from merchants or advertisers, or they could be NFT tokens as well, right? So we do strongly believe that instant gaming in emerging markets is going to be the future for us. And also on top of that, we also do see now that there's a strong emergence of super apps in emerging markets going down the gaming path, right? Now, for the very large super apps, the gaming strategy for them, it's not about user acquisition, it's about retention and engaging their existing very large user base and using gaming as a form of that engagement and retention itself. Then you have the smaller, the smaller financial wallets or the fintech wallets or the e-commerce apps that are growing, still small but growing, and they're using gaming as an acquisition funnel, as an acquisition tool to bring other gamers on board their platform to then enable mini esport tournaments there and offering, branded advertiser prizes or potentially in the future NFT tokens as well. So we are very bullish on the emerging markets and instant gaming for the emerging markets for the future of gaming.
Well, I think we've all covered off the metaverse. So I think as our crystal ball solidifies around the metaverse, I do think, especially as I think about gaming in Southeast Asia, just to piggyback a little bit on what David was just saying, I think, it is really an exceptionally vibrant marketplace for gaming. And what is, extraordinary to see is the embrace across genres of games. And so I think that as I look at it, from where I sit, we can see sort of audience engagement, as a proxy for gameplay, right? And looking at not just the growth of mobile games and esports in Southeast Asia and then APAC generally, it's really exciting to see the diversity of interest in gaming and just like the enormous growth across these games. So for me, as I look at the future, I think big moments being created by video games is going to only continue to get even bigger, right? So we talked about the in-game concert in Fortnite. One of the things that's really extraordinary that happened on our platform this summer was a huge Free Fire tournament in Asia. We had over 4 million peak concurrent viewers at one time on the stream for the event that happened in Singapore. That's just massive, and massive for any kind of event and viewership. But we really think that's the beginning, and that games are going to be a real focal point for community and for entertainment and engagement. And we're just going to see bigger and bigger audiences, as well as the proliferation of content creators across the world and into markets that are, we call them emerging markets, but I think they've already emerged. We're seeing just such tremendous engagement with both viewers and creators around gaming content in APAC. It's really exciting, and I think it's a trend that will absolutely continue. And I think making sure that we're all aware of how we can support our community from a diversity perspective, I think is the other thing that's really important in the future, and how the gaming community really understands the growth and the change in our demographics is really important, and how we embrace that moving forward, I think will be critical to our success.
So, I mean, obviously the last 5 years has been massive change. So what we're looking for in the next 5 years, I think it's just accelerating. I've got to go back to the metaverse. I've got to go back to blockchain, because I think, for all the negatives and about the new technology that's been thrown around, the positives to me are amazing. And you've got to include even the cryptocurrencies. You're talking about emerging markets right now. Think about the fact that every single person in the world right now can use the same currency to buy the same NFTs, to go into, different experiences, but Web3 really is your global metaverse, right? So I think that's powerful, and that's what's driving emerging markets with those games. It's like it's not segregated anymore. It has blown away all the kind of the walled gardens. Like Apple, if they don't change, their closed market. Yes, sure, they've got their hardware, but if they don't open up, I don't see them lasting. The fact that anyone can, like I said, in Indonesia, that's why it's taken off quite a lot, because people there have the same currency and they're not being locked out. I know, regulations. Yes, we have to sort things out, but I think the power of a singular combined world now for this kind of, and we're calling it the metaverse. I'm like, so Darren, with what your company is doing, I think that's extremely powerful, joining metaverses together, because at one point, at some point, like Web3 is that it is that whole combined thing, and it expands out to YouTube, to streaming, and to events, because people can go buy an NFT, which is a ticket to go to an event. So that's there's no monetization questions anymore. It's like, no, I want to buy something. I want to go to this concert, and they're streaming it on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll buy that ticket and I'll get in. And you see it crossing over to the real world. So that's why it's kind of taking over. You're seeing communities right now are revolving around NFT projects, saying, oh no, we're going to go meet up in person now in a real location. And that is just, how can you stop that? You can't. So I think that is the future.
Yeah, it's excellent. I think for Epik, we'd echo a lot of everything said here. I'm really looking forward 5 years from now to see what Metaverse has become. It's an exciting future. I think we also envision everything of value as an NFT, and we could continue to talk about that. But I think consumers are just going to expect this as they come to experience what we know as like to truly own a digital item. So NFTs everywhere. Just from our company perspective, maybe 5 years, we'll be there as the technology provider, connecting the infrastructure for games and connecting those metaverses together. And then also they're connecting our network of brands and celebrities to games too. So I think it's a very exciting future. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again in 5 years, and we can reminisce on this moment. See
one more thing
prescient
though.
we were.
I just want to throw one more thing. So everything is on chain. So everything you've said, like in 5 years' time, anyone can go back and look at their on-chain history. You don't need to keep a diary anymore. It's
That's
like
true.
I can track myself, and that's the whole thing about digital ownership too. You get your avatar, and you can see what that avatar has done for the last 5 years. So
yeah, it's going to be a great future. I think that's all the time we have for today. So I want to thank our panelists for a great discussion. Thank you, Kendra, David, Ben, and Durang. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of Gamescom. Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.